Hello and welcome to Lighthouse Stamping with Lorraine. Today I have a new project. We're going to make a Christmas card and we're going to use quite a few products from the celebration set as well as the new mini catalog. I refer to it as the Christmas catalog. It's the mini July to December 2022 catalog. We're going to be using two stamp sets. We're going to be using Snowman Magic and Trees for Sale. I'm going to cover the Trees for Sale first, and then we'll come back to Snowman Magic. Trees for Sale is a standalone stamp set. However, in the celebration, which goes to August 31st, 2022, you can get the dies that go along with this stamp set for free with a $100 purchase. And they're quite beautiful. There's a lot of standalone dies as well. And I'll show you the dies here in just a moment. I'm going to show you also in this paper, there is, and it's really hard just for you to see, I'm sure, on camera. There is this paper. It's silver and gold, stripes and dots, free paper that you can get for a $50 purchase. And we are going to be using this as well. The Trees for Sale set is, as you can see, we got these are double stamp process where stamp one over the other. I'm going to show you how to do that as well. There's lights and a pole, and we're going to be using a lot of that. But also inside the stamp set, there are the dies that you can get for free. Now, I've been asked by a couple people, the dies come in a plastic sleeve without the magnetic plate. I put a little magnetic sheet and put my dies on and keep them in my stamp case, so it's easier for me to locate everything at one time. So that's why they're here. Normally they're in a clear case, and it looks like this. This is what they normally come in. These are my large die sets that don't go with any particular stamp set, and that's why they're still in that case. So in this set, there is the tree dies, but there's also detailed tree dies. For each, there's 3 sizes, and these detailed tree dies cut out the dies, the trees, out of paper, and you don't stamp them. But with the stamp set, you can double stamp. And I'm going to show you what some of these trees look like using both dies. There's also a cute little trailer and the top to the trailer and the window shades and curtains, and there's just stars, and there's a wreath and some bows, tree stands, all kinds of little things that are not in the stamp set, but you can die. And we're going to use several of these today. We're not using the trailer though, so I will show you that in a few moments. The other stamp set, Snow Magic, is a bundle that is in the mini catalog. That's the tree set there. And here is Snow Magic. Now, Snow Magic has dies and cuts the snowman in all the little pieces to make the snowman and snow. And there's a great background die, and I'm going to show you that now. So here's the stamp set and the dies that go with it. But there is this one here. We haven't used it yet, but we will be shortly. This die cuts a frame, and it's got snowmen, or snowflakes. Sorry, it's early. And so you need to wake up and have a little more caffeine. So, and there's a standalone tree and some a fir tree that you can cut out. Now, there's fir trees you can stamp in the set, but this does not cut those trees out. This is a standalone one. So, let's see what we're going to make today. Get my catalogs out of the way. Also, before we get started, I'll show you this paper. Maybe you can see it a little better. This is that paper I told you we're going to be using that is 6 by 6. So we have gold stripes here. You have gold dots, silver stripes, and silver dots. And we are going to be using the silver dot paper today. insert this without knocking everything else over. So the card we're making today is this one. It is a Slimline card. It's a nice little Christmas card. And inside is stamped as well. So this is what we're going to be making, and I'm going to show you how to do it all. I just, I'm going to show you how I did everything, or tell you. I have pre-cut many of the parts because there are several parts to this card to reduce time and not take so much of your valuable time up. So let's get started. First, we need a piece of basic white cardstock, and we are going to cut this to the appropriate side. We need it to be 9 inches by 8 inches. So we'll open this up to get our 9 inches. By 8 inches. And then we need to score. And I'm going to go ahead and use the score on the trimmer today at 4 inches. Get this cutting blade out of the way. The darker one is the cutting blade. The lighter one is your scoring blade. And you should go over it a couple times. And we'll pull that out, and we're done with this. Then we'll give it a fold. Make sure everybody's straight, and we burnished it, got everything, and we will burnish this. And so this is the base of our card. Like that. Now, as you can see, the sky here is sparkly. You can call them stars, excuse me, stars, or you can call them snowflakes. I'm calling them snowflakes. To make that sky, we'll set the base aside now as well. To make that, I took a piece of the Starry Sky and grabbed a piece of scratch paper because we are going to be blending this off, and we are going to use Starry Sky, which is one of the newer in colors, and we're going to be using a blending brush. And just give it a little rub, not too hard. You can always add more ink. You can't take it off. Now I'm going to show you a part of this, how I did this. You start off to the side so you don't get any big dark pieces on. You just go across your paper. And you can get 2 cards, 2 tops of the cards out of 1 sheet of paper, and if you did 2 sheets you could get 5 total because there's enough out of the last section. And you just keep on going back and forth until you get the depth of color you want. Now set that aside. I'm not going to do the whole thing. Like I said, I prepped a little bit of this so we didn't have a lot of time, but you can see it's quite pretty. But the one thing you do need to do is you need to grab a tissue, an old rag or something, and come back in here and rub this off, because the ink sits on top of the metallic that makes the cards, and as you can see, leaves it on the tissue. If you don't rub it off, it's going to get onto other things and it would not be a pretty sight. So that's what we did. So in order to save time, I went ahead and cut 2 of them. Now, yes, there is going to be a seam on the card, but when we get done, you won't see that seam because we're going to hide it with a tree. So it will all blend together. Now, this piece is 6 inches. I forgot the dimension, by 1.5, and this is 3 by 1.5, which covers the 9 inches across our card. So got that made, and we're going to set that aside. Next, we need trees. We need a lot of trees. I'm going to first show you we'll do the stamping on the inside of the card, and I'll show you, that's how you can see how I stamped those trees. And then I just went ahead and die cut them. So inside our card, we need a couple trees. And in the stamp set, I decided to use the 2 largest trees. Oop. One's there, so we have the meaty one. So we have the 2 largest trees. Also on the inside of our verse, we need our saying, and we are using Christmas greetings. There's also 2 others. You light up the season and so very merry. Or you could do, which I probably will at some point, is just use the Merry Christmas as well. But that's what we're going to use for now. So we need to put the bottom blocks. Verbiage, I would highly recommend put it the right direction. And also, this is an old mat that Stampin' Stampin' Up! Used to sell. They no longer sell this, but they do sell grid paper, which is in the annual catalog. I recommend that you use some type of grid paper to make sure that your words and your stamping is straight before you mount it on the block. So in this case, I've lined up my wording, which I believe is straight. And just take the block to it, like that. Now, the smaller ones, it's not as important to get them straight, but I do lay them down because photopolymer, especially the thinner pieces like this or the string of lights, you want to let that relax before you put your block on because they will sometimes move on you. You want them in the right direction. And I'll grab a couple more blocks here. And you notice this one is a little smaller block, so I'm just putting it at an angle, which is perfectly fine. So then we have our blocks. And let's see, colors. I think we'll make the big tree Evening Evergreen, and the small tree, I think we'll make it Old Olive. You do need a stamping mat. You're using I can't even talk today. Polymer stamps, you get a much better and deeper impression when you do that. So we'll bring our card over here. We're gonna do the solid one first. Just give it a nice little tap. I always take a little look here, make sure that I've got it covered. Line it up and stamp. I'll set that off to the side. We will come back and I will clean those later because I realized I cleaned my stamping mat and it is in the other room. Now I've just inked up the second step. You can line it up based off of the bottom footprint of the card on the bottom here. And you see the detail there you get. Now the next one we're going to do is Old Olive. And this is the medium-sized tree. Scoot that over to this. Oop, I didn't get it covered. I don't know if you can see it on there, but I can. Now, my Old Olive is an older type stamp pad. Sometimes you have to give the older ones a little twist and then tap on top again. And there's that one, and then the top layer. Like so. And we'll close that one up. Next is our saying. We're going to go back to Starry Sky for the saying. Move that out of my way before I get something in there. We're just going to tap the verbiage gently. Line it up in the middle of our card and try to do it as straight as possible. I'm still, believe it or not, I am still lining stuff up on this grid, even though I'm not on the grid, to try to get that as straight as possible, like that. So that's the inside of our card. So we'll set this aside for just a moment. Next, we're going to put our blue pieces onto the top of the card. And you can use glue, you can use seal. We will be using some seal today. Ugh. That's sort of messy. I'm going to line that right up into the corner, and the glue makes it nice so you can line up everything right at the edges here. And a little glue on this side. You want to butt right up in there and over to the other edge and up to the top. Like that. So that's our sky. Next is the flowers. I know I'm not awake. I'm sorry about this. It's only 6:30 in the morning. I'm doing this before the temperature gets up really high. It's supposed to be about 102 today. And unfortunately my studio gets up to about 80 some degrees and I can't stand to be in here. So what I did, as I told you, these all have a die, and I stamped the medium ones, the little ones. I even did a parakeet party to see if I liked it. Not for a Christmas tree, but I stamped a lot of the different trees, so we had lots to choose from. And then I told you there was a double layer die where you could just die cut the tree. So I did make some samples to show you. This one is garden green with So Saffron on top. So you cannot stamp, you don't have to stamp them. You can actually just cut out a paper and do the die cut and glue it on. I would recommend you using the adhesive sheets to do that, or it's a lot of little dots of glue to hook that on. This one is Evening Evergreen and Soft Succulent. And this one is Mossy Meadow and Old Olive. So I just did a couple samples to show you what that looks like versus the other trees. But either one would work, whichever you fancy, doing the stamping or not. Just doing die cutting. I'll set those aside. I'll use these for some other one, and I know you're looking, boy, that's a lot of trees. I will be using the trees for other projects. I am a big component of when there's something I know I'm going to be using throughout the year with other projects, to just stamp a whole bunch of them at one time and die cut them all. Excuse me. So what I did was I started with the seam. I put my first large tree over the seam as my starting point. And so we'll just grab a tree here. We'll grab one of these old olive ones. And like I said, you can use seal. You can use, this is seal. You can use glue. I'll probably use a combination of both. What you want to do is come over this and line that up right over the top of your seam. And the seam is now gone. And then I just sort of went across the page, putting different colored trees at different levels, just to give it a different look. And then come in with some smaller trees. It's pretty small. Let's look for a different color so we don't have the same color next to it. I'll put that one on there. And let's pick I want a larger tree for that spot. Let's get this one here. And go back up on this one. I know you're saying to yourself, it's over the page. And I'm like, yes, I know, but we're going to fix that in a few minutes. So I'm going to go back to Tombow now, because as you see, sliding something underneath is not as easy when you use tape. When you use Tombow, your sides can be left open. So I'm going to show you both ways. Like I said, no two cards will come out the same. Actually, I want to tuck that one right behind there. Just sort of tuck them across this thing here, you know, big, small, medium. I'm going to put this one here, and then I'm going to grab a small one. A different color. Oh, this one. And we're covering up that whole horizon line so you don't see it. And let's go with another big one here. And make sure you don't, you know, try to stagger them up and down so that you don't have them all the same height, and they're all, you know, they all look different. And we need one more. Oop. I know it's trouble. It's choosing the one you want to put on the end. And that one there. And if you need a little more glue, you can always go back and add a little more. So now we've got the trees across the line there. Then you're going to grab your snips. Now I'm going to tell you something that happened this weekend. These snips are extremely sharp. Oh, I've got ink all over me. Anyhow, they're extremely sharp. The points are extremely sharp. I had a little mishap this weekend, and I'm telling you this so you're very cautious. It's been hot. I've been working in sandals or kicking my shoes off. I dropped my scissors. When they dropped, they opened up like this. And they went straight down into my foot and stayed there. That's how sharp these are, so please be very careful with these scissors. No major damage to the foot, just a little cut. But I want you to be careful with these because I've snipped my fingers and now I've gotten my foot. So please be careful. But they're the greatest scissors in the world. Flip your card over. Let's get back to what we're supposed to be doing. Now that the safety message is over, and just cut off the little piece of tree that we don't need. And on this side, we'll cut the little piece of tree we don't need. So next we need to take it's a little, oop, I got a little something on there. Well, we'll get that covered up. Little glue. Next we need to take if you look at our original, we had some like waves, like snow. In the snow set, Snowman set, I should say. I'll set this back here for a second. There is these two pieces here, which are little waves of snow flurries. You could use them for anything you wanted. But we're gonna grab those two out. And like I said, they're photopolymer. Lay them face down on your mat and let them relax for a second before you try to put them on a block. Try not to get my head in the camera. And I need another block, so we're gonna remove the saying. And I used Pool Party on this. Like I said, you're not adding a lot. It's just to add the look of snow potential, you know, what snow might look like. And just sort of, you know, put it in several areas. They're not all going to turn out the same. Just angle it in different places. Let's put one more this way. And then a couple of the small ones. And you're going to maybe end up covering up a couple of these. But it's just to give it that look like there's snow on the ground. Next, we need some more parts to our card. We'll be coming back to some more trees. But what we need now, this is my die container that has a stuck. Well, we'll come back and get him out later. So I have a couple extra. So I stamped a whole bunch of items in here. So first we're going to work on our lights. So what I did was I took the light poles that came in the tree set and I stamped them. You could take and just die cut these out of, you know, whatever color cardstock you wanted, but I did stamp them. And I'm going to figure out where I want my first one to go. And we're going to print it down. And the reason for this is you have to line up these to string your lights. And you don't want to get them in the wrong place. And it doesn't take much glue on this, just a little bit. And I want it to come about there. So I'll put the first one in. Then you're going to grab a string of lights. Like I said, I just die cut this, stamped it and die cut it. And you're going to hold it there. Oop. Lay it across. So you get a rough idea where this next stand needs to go, and it needs to go right in the middle of this green tree. So we know where that's going. I have a lot of ink on my hands. Oh, that's half fun at crafting, is getting your fingers all messy. So put that one right here. And next, this one. This one, I found the easiest way to glue this down is just put a dot on this one. And you could use the adhesive and cut this out with the adhesive on the back too. I was going to do that, but I realized I ran out of adhesive. And then just sort of string the lights across here. And let those dry for a second. Next, I made a for sale sign, and I had decided I wanted my for sale sign to stick right like this on the post. They can go anywhere you want. Build the card your way you want. We're just building a Christmas scene. And I stamped that in early espresso. If I didn't mention it before, all the sizes, descriptions, what I used, all the supplies will be in the description bar below on your computer or phone. If you're watching on TV, you'll have to go to your computer, I'm sorry. So, the other things I cut, I made a gray dog. He's at a dark gray. So, we need to put him in there. I also made some snowmen. I'm going to show you how I did that. And we also cut, they're hiding here, a wee bunny. I think our wee bunny is going to end up sitting there. And we have a little blob there where I made a mistake. So that's where our snowman's going. But we have to finish the snowman first. So what I did for the snowman is I took our Stampin' Right markers. I took pumpkin pie. This is pumpkin pie. And this is basic black. And I just gently colored in his nose. Now I'm going to put his buttons on, but not quite yet. I got him a hat and a scarf. So I'll put a little scarf on him. Like I said, there's all kinds of things in there. I think there's even sunglasses in there possibly. But I went with a traditional snowman. And his scarf and his hat are out of Starry Sky, same as I used from up above. Now you can use glue to hook this on, glue dots, whatever you want. And then there is some dots in there, but I didn't like the spacing on the dots. Oop, wrong side. Take the small end, and you can tell if you're not familiar with these, the wide end has the wider line and the small end has a small line. I didn't know that for years until someone pointed out. So I made 3 little dots for his buttons. So we're going to take and pop him up on dimensionals. Oop, I don't need 4. 2 will do. Put him about there. I want my bunny on about a dimensional as well. He's going to go about there. Oop. Now, we're going to put our doggy in, but the doggy, we need some footprints for the doggy. So in the set, get this out of my way, is some footprints. And we will what did I do with my early espresso? Well, I've misplaced my espresso. Oh, there it is. I'm going to grab a block. Once again, I'm going to lay it down flat because it is photopolymer. And there is a right and wrong direction to the feet when you look at them. So the paws are pointing toward me, so I want to go this direction, so the paws are going towards the dog, the direction of the dog. And I'm going to grab my mat here real quick. I'm going to roughly set where I want the dog to be. Tap lightly, make sure they're going the right direction, and put some paw prints in so we can see where the dog's been going. And we're going to raise the little guy up. Now, don't waste the sides on your dimensionals. These can be cut down, especially if you can't find your mini dimensionals, which I have misplayed somewhere. So I'll just cut 2 of those in half. So and I got a little too much over the side there. Now we'll put our little dog on here so he's like running away. Okay, now we're just about done, but this is a tree lot, so we should have a few more trees up front. So at this point, I'm going to grab some of the medium-sized trees. Probably in a couple small ones. That one. And I want a darker green medium tree. You know, stack them all up, you can't see. We'll use this one. So we have 2 medium and a large. In this set, there is a stamp and a die for cutting out tiny little tree stamps. So what I'm going to do is glue, put a little glue on the front and glue onto the base of the tree. I know my fingers are in the way at the moment, but you'll see. Like that. Oop. One thing you do with glue, you have to hold for just a moment. And finally, the last one. Oh, yes. Okay, we're going to pop these all up on some dimensionals. So we're going to flip them over. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I'm catching the bottom where I put that tree stand. on with a dimensional, since that small amount of glue is just to hold it in place till we can get the dimensionals on. So now we'll just peel these off and place our last couple trees on here. You know, for one there. I think we'll put one here in front of the post. And believe it or not, I think we'll put the other one right here. So this is our completed card. There's the front. Oh, we're not completed yet. I forgot the bling. We can't forget the bling. Those lights have to shine. These are Rhinestone Basic Jewels, and they come in several sizes. There's small, medium, and large ones. We're gonna use the medium ones. No? Nope, we're using the large. And we need 6 of them because I have 6 lights there. So I'm going to be using blends to color these. We're going to use Dark Cherry Cobbler, Dark Balmy Blue, and Dark Daffodil Delight. And what you would do is just take the side, don't use the actual nib, use the side, and just go around and color it real. It doesn't take but a second. And Balmy Blue. And Cherry Cobbler. You can use any blues and reds you want. These are the ones I chose. And get your piercer, paper picker, whatever. And then what I'm going to do is set these right where the stamp mark is, if I don't tip it upside down. And whoa, not there. I slid right off. That wasn't good. Now our card's done. Looks better with the lights on it. Light up like a Christmas tree lot. So there is the first, the one we just did. Here's the first one I made. It's laid out just slightly different. That's the beauty of these cards. You lay them out any way you want. So thank you for joining me. I hope you found this interesting and helpful. Go out and create a beautiful card. Similar, same, different, whatever you choose to do would be great. Please see the descriptions below. Please subscribe, like, and if you subscribe, you'll know every time I upload a video. Thank you very much for joining me. Have a good day and be creative.